Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Wedding Frame. I have a guest here with me, Helena Wong. Hello.
Hi, Lizette. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you know what? I'm actually so excited that you're here because we're talking about something that's very specific and very helpful, especially for photographers who have really dialed in their art form. They are great with their couples, but maybe there's a little bit lacking in the whole business side of things. So I'm excited that we're going to really inform them on the changes and improvements they can make on the business side of things.
Yes.
But first, I definitely want to know how you started. So I know you went from wedding photography to now including business coaching, but how did it all start?
Yes, that's such a great question. For those that don't know me, hi everyone. I am Helena. I am a wedding photographer based out of San Francisco. And my whole journey actually, honestly, fell into my lap. I think a lot of things pointed to me to take this leap to go full time in wedding photography. So, if I rewind back a little bit, my journey actually started in 2019. I was actually working in the tech industry. So, I was on the sales team, I was a sales engineer, and I've worked tech for about 6 years, and I realized my life was repetitive. I was going to the gym, I went to work, I came home, and then I went to sleep, and I just kind of redid that every single day, and I was craving some type of creative outlet. And when I rekindled with a friend of mine, he mentioned he got a new camera, and a light bulb just went off in my head, and it was just like, "Ding, ding, ding," like, "Why don't you try to give this a chance," right? And I was always interested in photography, and so I am all self-taught. Well, self-taught plus, getting courses and things of that sort, but, uh, I got a camera in 2019, and I started taking pictures of everything and anything, started with landscape photography. When you start with landscape photography and people see you have a camera, they're like, "Helena, can you take photos of me? Can
Of
you take photos of my engagement?" Like, a lot of my friends were starting to get engaged, and so I did my first engagement session for free, and I was absolutely hooked. Like, that one session brought in a bunch of different sessions, whether it was other engagements and or families, and I just fell in love with making people feel really good in front of the camera. That was my thing. And so after that, I just kind of dove in. I became obsessed with it. I YouTubed everything. I took courses. I really wanted to figure out how I could make this a real-time thing. And in 2021, of course, I was working at Lyft Corporate at the time. They decided to give me a severance, aka means I got laid off. And so I just went full in 2021. I didn't really have much set up because 2020, obviously, there wasn't too much happening then. So, 2021, I went full time, and in that first year, I made 6 figures, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. I can do something I really love and that I'm passionate about and also make a living out of it." And so since then, I've just been full blown doing weddings, and now I'm excited to share that I'm coaching other wedding photographers how they can truly make a good living doing what they love and scaling it to the next level.
that, I love that. And I think that's such an important aspect of this. It's not just a hobby. So you've been coaching now for a little while and and you're still photographing weddings, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, I think that's actually very important and useful to still be in what you're coaching, right? So, when you begin coaching someone, is there a foundation that you start with? Do you have to find out information about what they're doing and what they're not doing before, giving them advice and
Yeah.
coaching?
Yes, 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 absolutely. So, pretty much with my program specifically, I really wanted to solve a problem I saw in the industry, which was, again, there's so many photographers that are so talented and they have the artistry down, but again, just lack the business acumen or the business sense of exactly what to do to move the needle in their business. So for me, I really wanted a high touch program because everyone is in a different place. Everyone is starting out somewhere different, right? Some are charging
Right.
4,000, some are charging 6,000, and what they need to do is very different based off their goals. So I make it a high touch one-on-one program, and when you first come in, I do an entire audit of your business. So I look at all your numbers, I look at your conversion rates, if you have them. If you don't, totally okay. But I just want to see where you are and where do you want to be so I can build that roadmap for you. So it is very personalized. I would say 9 times out of 10, we are always starting on the marketing side. We are refining who our ideal client is. And that's really, really important to do this not only just when you first start, but because you evolve as an artist and you change who you want to serve and you understand who do you really love serving and what kind of weddings you like working and not. That needs to be done every single year, I would say, just so that you're getting the clients that you really align with. So again, nine times out of 10, we're starting on the marketing side.
That makes sense. And does that include expertise on your end, like in social media? What does marketing include for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say most of my clients have all found me through Instagram for the most part. I mean, blogging and SEO is also very, very important. And I actually have a podcast that talks about blogging and SEO as well.
Oh,
With
Helena, tell us what is the name of your podcast?
it's called Under the Veil.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's amazing.
great. So, guys, go listen to her podcast too. That's going to be a lot of useful information there.
Thank you, yes.
Uh,
I just brought on a special guest who was a wedding photographer, but now she's I guess now she serves other creatives and blogging and providing SEO for them, whether it's website or actual blogs itself. And so we whole talk about that. So Instagram,
Mhm.
and actually I built my entire business through organic marketing. So I didn't run ads. Now I'm running ads differently for my coaching program, but I would say foundationally, yes, Instagram. And it's important to have a really good foundation on Instagram. So if you ever decide to run ads, your Instagram is, locked in, right? It's speaking to your ideal client already. So ads really just expedites everything, but I always say start with organic first and then we'll run the ads to your account.
Got it. And what do you mean by organic? Just word of mouth, or is there more to it?
Organic is literally just us showing up on Instagram. It's just posting. So what is the strategy on posting, right? How often should we be posting? What types of things should we be posting? And how do we also show up in our stories? And how can we combine it together so that there's a real strategy so that when you show up online, it's not just spraying and praying. I'm not just posting pretty photos again, right? Because
Yeah.
honestly, everyone can post pretty photos now. It's insane, like the amount of talent that's out there, right? And so, what's going to differentiate you from the photographer next door? And we talk about all those things.
Yeah, I think that is actually one of the most important ways in booking your ideal client is showing them who you are and how you are serving them, right? Because you definitely don't want to target the kind of client that you don't want to. So I think it has to be even in your stories, right? You have to kind of strategize what you're showing. Is
Yeah.
there, can you get a little more detailed in what maybe we should be showing in our stories versus our feed? Um, and this is all organic, of course.
Absolutely. So in the feed, that is really where you want to build your trust. This is where you want to explain your thought process. How do you handle a wedding day? Like, what happens if things go wrong on a wedding day? How do you handle it, right? Maybe behind the scenes, how do you see light? And also, we really, again, want to niche down to understanding like who are we speaking to when you're writing these captions. Thankfully, AI is amazing. You can put all the criteria of your ideal client inside of AI. I like to use Claude. ChatGPT is dead. Now I'm saying.
Okay. Good, good to know.
ChatGPT is not as good as Claude. Claude is so good at writing. But if you can input all of that in there and have a good framework for exactly how to show up on Instagram, you're going to be 10 times ahead over anyone else. So again, asking yourself these questions is really going to be important. For your ideal client, what do they care about? What are they afraid of happening? And how are you going to tackle and handle that on a wedding day? So building that trust and authority is really important on Instagram for your feed. Now, in your stories, that's where you want to show your personality. I would say if I had to argue and choose between one, I would say your stories is even more important because more people live in your stories than on your feed. The feed is for the algorithm. You wanna show up often enough so the algorithm knows you're here and you're using the platform, and they're gonna reward you the more you use it, right? So that's why when you engage on other people's posts, they're saying, "Oh, this person is active. Let me push out their content more." And that is why it's so important to be consistent. I have posted 4 to 5 times every single week for the last 6 years.
Wow, Helena, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a lot of work. Trust me, it's a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
work.
Oh, no. I know. I've definitely over the years done so much work on Instagram because and that's why we're talking about it right now because it is so important. It is such an important factor nowadays. And Yes, it's great to know. See, I didn't realize what you said about the feed and how important it is not just to post, but also to engage. And I feel like a lot of people may not take the time to do that. But really, it's something that, if you do 5 minutes a day, that would be helpful, right?
Yeah. And pro tip, if you do engage with people, do it before you post so that by the time you post, if people are like, let's say you do it 5 minutes or 10 minutes beforehand, right? And then you post, people will see their notifications. And if they don't know who you are, they'll click onto your page and then they'll see your new post.
Okay, smart. And you said stories are is that you're right. That is where people are living a little more nowadays. And so is it a good idea or a bad idea to repost a feed post onto your story
I
to
always
get more visibility?
exactly.
Okay.
The algorithm you cannot always trust, right? It just shares to whoever it chooses to share to. And so I always shared my posts to my stories and even more so to take it to the next level, make it engaging. Talk a little bit about a little bit of a like a preface to why you decided to post this. And maybe have them interact with the poll, black or white or color, right? Have them engage with your things to again build that trust. That's just one part of the stories, but again, I think stories is really where you allow your personality to shine, and that's how they get to know you, especially as we're moving to Gen Zers for our weddings, right? And Gen Zers don't care about being public. Like, this is the difference between millennials and Gen Z, is that millennials cared about your reviews, they cared about you getting published, and they just cared about your pretty photos. Can you take pretty photos? Gen Z, they care if you vibe with them. That is why right now it's more important than ever to show your face, show who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what do you stand for, what do you not stand for, so that they can see if you're going to be that person that's going to hang around them all day on their wedding day and capture these beautiful moments.
Yes, yes, I definitely agree with that. So, Helena, I want to know. I know that you've gotten to 400K in 1 year, which sounds amazing. And I know that everyone would love to be there. Do you want to unpack everything you've done to get to this level?
Man, that's a loaded question. We can definitely talk about the steps that I think are really most important. We talked a lot about marketing. Marketing is huge. That is where most of your time should be. And again, we need to be constantly reevaluating ourselves and understanding who do we want to serve? What do they look like? What do they care about? What do they not care about? And how are you going to help them? Right. And I just got really, really clear on who I was talking to. So I think that was one. And as I started to evolve, of course, I think naturally I wanted to serve kind of more of the higher end market. And so being able to one market to them, but also to network, I think networking is huge. Getting into the rooms with photographers who are working these higher budget weddings, right? Picking their brains or maybe assisting them or second shooting them, seeing how they handle a wedding day. That's going to be really, really important. Next, I also got really crystal clear, or I shouldn't say really crystal clear, but next I got really, really good at finding my style and nailing that. So that when someone looked at my page, or let's say they saw my photo randomly on someone else's Instagram page, they're like, I know that's Helena's photo. I got really good at that. And so it's crazy because even my students, they would look at some other venue Instagram post page and they're like, I know that's your photo. And so being able to nail that, it's a simple idea, but very hard to do. And the way to do it is to constantly shoot. I did shoot
Mm.
and so I got a lot of practice in. I understood how I love to use the light, how I didn't like to use the light, how did I edit afterwards, and just refining that over time and time, just nailing that will get you super far. Now, the next thing is I raised my prices as I started to nail my look and feel and my brand. I was able to raise my prices and I raised them fast. I was not afraid. I didn't wait for the next new year just to raise my prices. I would raise them every couple bookings, to be honest
Nice.
after like a couple bookings. And the reason that I was able to do this so confidently was because I have that sales background and I understood my value. I understood how to convey my value on a sales call. Like literally, I was just talking to one of my students yesterday and she was pinging me how she just booked her biggest package ever, 7,600, when before she would be booking on regularly, I think around 5K. And just coming into my program because we gave her the structure of the sales calls. I knew her work was there. She just wasn't sure how to get those higher paying clients. I literally just gave her the framework of how to, one, market to this higher end market, but then two, how to convey that value on a sales call. And now she got her biggest booking and hit a 20K month. And we're only at April 11th. So these small changes really compound over time and will allow you to have a really big year. Now, the last thing I would say is I did get really creative. Like once I nailed down all those things, right? Like my branding, my marketing, also raising my prices and being confident on those sales calls, I got creative in how I want to package things because if you think about it, for us as wedding photographers, we are always trading time for money. And so what we want to do is figure out how can we maximize the value of our package so that we don't technically have to do too much more. So there's a few ways to do this. One, I added videography to my package, so I have a video team. Secondly, I sold albums as well, so being able to upsell, and that's a couple $1,000s per wedding, right? If you think about it, and I get to do it at home where it's comfortable and I don't have to go out and shoot again. So what are different ways that you can add on these different things to your packages to really maximize the value of a customer? And the way I like to think about it is like, I'm not just selling more just to sell more. I'm really solving a problem. And I think if you approach it as that way, it's like, okay, a lot of people came to me and they were like, Helena, do you have photo and video? And it came to me so much. And I was like, I just need to have a video team, right? So they can only go through one vendor. They don't have to search for a whole nother vendor. And they'll trust me. And I will do my due diligence to make sure I'm bringing on the best of the best and serving them in the same way. So that's aligned with my brand. So that's how I approached it, and I think over time, as you build up that credibility, you'll be able to see you can really maximize your packages. Because now I'm booking anywhere from 12,000 to 22K.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Yeah, and you're right. That's a thing that is asked a lot of us to include video. And obviously you've, curated a team
Yes.
that then because I'm assuming you don't do any of the editing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So you do have packages as opposed to like custom proposals, or is it dependent on what the client tells you in like their inquiry?
Yes. So it is all technically custom in the sense where when I talk to them, I map out exactly what do I think they need for their wedding day. And that's why this call is so important. So pro tip, if y'all are sending your pricing guide first before getting on the call, stop that right now.
Oh.
Stop that right now. We need to get on the phone with our clients to really understand what's important to them, what are they looking for, and then we can put together the best package for them. Whether that's we need to add on rehearsal dinner, the day after brunch, albums, video, film, what you name it, right? So and that's our opportunity to understand what are they looking for on their wedding day, what do they need, and then how can we serve them. So it is technically custom because I'll send them a custom proposal afterwards.
Okay, got it. But question, when you get back to them and say, let's set up a call, do you give them an average or a beginning pricing?
That's on my website.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Okay. So they do have an idea that you may be in their budget. Okay.
correct. And for the most part, this is what happens when you get really good at selling. For the
Yeah.
most part, you're above their budget. But because you were able to sell your value, they were willing to stretch the extra dollars for you. So
That's a really important factor. I feel like you need to repeat that. That is so important to know. Yes.
the thing is, it's going to be different for everyone. So you need to collect data on this, right?
Mm,
On the inquiry form, I always ask for their budget. If I looked at the past of my history of everyone that I've talked to and who I've closed, their budget on their inquiry form actually said 6 to 8K, even though I was charging 10K plus at the time. And so that's when I look at the inquiry form and I'm like, okay, that even though it's 6 to 8K, I have converted them in the past. So it's worth it for me to get on the call. When you're first starting out, get on as many calls as you can. It doesn't matter because you want to get that practice in.
yeah.
Well, once you become, a little bit more seasoned in this, you can be picky with who you decide to get on the phone with. And so I forgot what I said earlier where you were like, you need to repeat it. But essentially, like people will always stretch their dollars for you as long as they can justify the price. The only way they can justify it is if you talk to them on the phone.
That is what I wanted you to repeat. The fact that you can upsell, like I feel like a lot of especially newer photographers don't have that confidence yet. and they just want the booking and they don't realize that they can upsell by, like you said, showing their value. What would be your advice to someone who is newer and is trying to sell or convey their value on a phone call? Like, what would be the things that they should do and maybe avoid doing on this call, on this video call, whatever? I'm assuming a video, like a Zoom meeting, is best as opposed to a phone call, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even that small shift, because one of my students, she always did phones and she was a little bit nervous about getting on video. But I was like, your personality really shines. Like they really can see who you are. Your energy, they can feel your energy. It's just so important to get on video. And the moment that she did that, she literally got the booking on the call. Like on the call, they were like, we want you. And that's the power of shifting that, right? And another student of mine had a 10K inquiry come in, but he ended up selling them 18K because of this call. And the way that they do it is that you want to frame the call in the beginning where you're like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to get to know each other. I want to see what's important to you, what you're looking for on your day up, and then I'll walk you through my entire process. How does that sound? Good. The questions you ask are really, really important. The questions you ask are really, really important. So, the questions that you should ask are, what do they care about? What are they looking for on a wedding day? What's important to them when it comes to wedding photography? How important is wedding photography to them? Like all these questions are really good nuggets to show what is important to this client and how are you going to serve them. Now, everyone gets stuck in the trap of like, oh, I love making you feel comfortable in front of the camera. And here's the thing. Everyone does that. So now we have to figure out what's really gonna make you different, and I need you to really sit down and think about it because that's not enough anymore, right? Just saying, "I can make you feel comfortable in front of the camera." Everyone does that. So how are you going to be different from any other photographer? What really makes you unique? And what I want you to do is if you have any reviews at all, look back at your previous reviews from your clients and see what they're saying about you. And
Yeah, that tells you a lot for sure.
and that's your selling point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that I'm already loving everything that you're giving us. It's like so much already. So we kind of gone through the marketing, um, the selling process. What about on the wedding day? Is there anything that you can do on the wedding day to leave your couples with, glowing review and potentially get, new couples from that?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, I love this question. This was so good. So there are so many factors here. So I'm going to try to condense it in the most concise way possible. But I think the client experience literally starts the moment they book you. So the moment they book you, they get immediate. So, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So the
Okay.
moment they book you, they get an immediate email from me, and that email is completely automated. Thank God for Dubsado. Also, if you need someone to set up your Dubsado account, Taylor from Chanel and Lee, freaking amazing. She's a rock star.
All right. A quick question. Were you on Dubsado all this whole time, or did you start on HoneyBook like a lot of people?
I started on HoneyBook, but I quickly switched.
Okay. Got it.
Quickly switched. I think I only used HoneyBook for a year, maybe, and then I switched to Dubsado. So, I love Dubsado because there's just so many complex workflows that you can add in, and it's a game changer. So, what I want you to think about is when you're thinking about the client experience, what touch points do you need to have with your wedding clients? And how can you almost beat them to the punch? And what I mean by that is, for example, if they have an engagement session with me, I am always sending them an engagement prep guide even before they email me and ask me, like, oh, where should I go? Where should we take our photos? What should I wear? That is already taken care of in the beginning. So I am always one step ahead of where they're going to be so that they are fully well prepared and taken care of. That is just my process. And so I'm doing that every step of the way before the wedding day. So the engagement session, even the wedding timeline planning, I pretty much ping them about like 3 months beforehand. And I'm kind of checking in. If they have a planner, I say, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And then we'll meet again about a month before your wedding day just to make sure everything's solidified.
Mhm.
And then when we come to the wedding day, I actually text my clients. I text them the week of and I text them the day of. So I'm letting them know I'm thinking about them and I'm super excited about them. And then on the day of, I literally memorize everybody's names, family, wedding party, and that is a hit. People love that, right? It's just a little bit more of a personal touch.
I love that. I do the same thing because I do ask them all of those questions on the questionnaire that I send them a month before. And yes, that is pretty important to know.
And I'm always constantly like saying their names too, right? Like when we're
Mhm.
taking photos, if we're doing getting ready photos, I'm always kind of including them. And I also would go around and ask the parents if they want photos or if they need photos of anything, they can always grab me. I am serving them to max capacity, not only
Mhm.
just them, but also my vendors. So,
Yes,
wedding planners, what exactly do you care about? What's important to you? Do you want a photo of you in the reception space? I want to make sure that I'm getting photos for everybody. And when I'm taking the photos, I'm not only taking photos just for the couple, but I'm taking photos for the vendors as well. And after the wedding day, I need you, if you want to be in the high end luxury market, like you need to get those sneak peeks ASAP. 48 hours max, right? 24 hours is ideal, but 48 hours max.
I agree.
So typically, like before, I've even done it same day before, which is
Wow.
kind of wild.
How many pictures did you deliver same day?
I don't know. I think actually that I've only done that once. That was a very special treatment for that client. I think I
Yeah.
actually gave her like close to 100 that day. I know
So
that was wild.
same day? Wow. I think you were editing during dinner then.
No, I wasn't. I went home, I backed it up, and I did it.
Wow. I'm very impressed. I usually end up falling I try to do that, but I end up falling asleep on the couch, at like
That's
1
fair.
in the morning. And yeah, it definitely seems like you definitely have a high touch when it comes to clients. And, I'm assuming then that is what like propelled you also to where you're at, 400K a year, not only, with the new clients that you're gaining to, through marketing, social media, all of that, but word of mouth. There's so much opportunity on a wedding day. There's the bridesmaids, there's family members who are engaged. So yeah, that's really important too.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And that I've actually had a couple literally send me like their sister, their cousin, like just the whole family used to be.
Yes. Isn't that the best feeling?
Yes.
You feel like you're part of the family. I love it.
Yeah. And it's nice you get to see familiar faces again. It's really awesome.
Totally. Exactly. Is part of your process, marketing to planners? It's a whole different thing,
It
right?
is, it is. I think I'm really lucky in the sense that in the market that I'm in, a lot of people are willing to invest in photography, which is why I was able to scale so quickly. But I'm at pretty much my like pretty much 12 to 13,000 just for wedding photography is pretty much the max I'll get without a planner. And so the next step is okay, how can you nurture and network into that market? And that takes time, right? So going to events, going to conferences, if you've ever worked with a planner that you really loved, that is like a good way to you already know them and if hopefully they liked working with you. And so that is your way to start nurturing that relationship. So I haven't put a lot of emphasis into it. If I didn't do coaching this last year, I probably would have done that. But I felt really called to helping these photographers who are looking to get to their next level and kind of maxing out what they can do first without the planners, and then we can always add in, like, the planner strategy.
I mean, to me, it sounds like you're in a position where you don't even need the planners. I mean, 12 to 15,000 is pretty good. I always think couples who are going to spend that kind of money aren't going to take the time to look for a photographer, but that's not always true. And I do think that's a myth that you know, couples with money are going to be paying for a planner to take care of everything. No, especially if they value photography, they maybe have been following you for a while, or a friend really raved about the photographer. And I'm saying all this because some people really concentrate on getting on board like planners lists and all that, but it doesn't have to just be that, if you want to be part of the luxury level.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and I actually just went to Kindred, and so I was in the room.
You just went to Kindred and Laguna.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I went to the one earlier in the year in Mexico.
Nice, yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing, like, that room is just full of high-end wedding planners, high-end wedding photographers, and we were
Mm.
actively having conversations about this. And what was really interesting was that they were saying even they were putting these lists together of their preferred vendors from the planner perspective, but the couple is still like, I want you to reach out to X, Y, and Z, right? And
Yeah.
so, yes, it is helpful to be on these planner lists, but again, they crave connection, right? And if they really do value photography, they are going to find the photographer of their
Mhm.
choice. And that's why, again, it's more important than ever to be showing up on Instagram and even TikTok nowadays. You can showcase who you are and they can find you and they can even say, hey, planner, reach out to this person.
Yeah, it's crazy because the luxury market was all about a little bit of mystique. And like you said, Gen Z has totally changed that. And I feel like photography is still looked at as one of the most important vendors on a wedding day. I mean, where, everything else, where is it going to be without the photos reflecting all of it? So, yeah, so I think I really need everyone to come away, especially with the fact that Gen Z needs to see more of you and your personality and values everything. And it's okay if you're not gonna, speak to everyone. You like speaking of which, like, do you believe in niching down a bit, like when it comes to like, are there some things that maybe you shouldn't reveal or religion, politics, or do you think that everything is on the table when it comes to Gen Z?
Ooh, that's a very spicy question. I like I would say, I mean, it depends on the person, right? I would say that the more you can put yourself out there authentically, whether if you really are passionate about politics and religion, then use it to your marketing because pretty much what's going to happen is you're going to repel the people who don't align with your stance and then you will draw in people who do align with your stance, right? And so we're in a time now where actually I see photographers who are like, they're actually calling out, "Oh, I'm a faith-based wedding,"
Hmm.
I don't know the actual terminology, but they pretty much say, like, they are religious and they're extremely religious, right? And so a lot of their couples are probably religious, and that's probably who they wanna serve. So, being able to put yourself out there authentically, it's scary. It's really scary, but if you can hone in on that and nail it and just own it to 100%, like, I think that is the best way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays, that's what we need to do for sure. Yeah. Especially if you're passionate about something, finding those people who feel the same way. What would be the one thing that you would focus on in your business if it was just one?
Ooh, that's another spicy and juicy question. I would say the biggest thing that will help you move the needle is actually focusing on your mindset. Because if you look at a bunch of other photographers, or if you look at all of us, honestly, the
Mhm.
one thing that mostly holds us back is us, right? We don't want to raise our prices because we don't feel confident enough, or we don't want to get on a sales call or like a video call because we're just nervous about it, or we don't know how they're going to perceive us. We don't want to show up online because we're scared of what people will say. The root of it is us. And so if you can take that courage, and courage is pretty much the fact that you're going to do something different, right? Like that you're going out of your comfort zone because when do you grow the most? Is it when you're comfortable or uncomfortable? It's uncomfortable. And so when you have acts of courage and you compound it and you slowly just do little acts of courage, it turns into confidence. And that is what's going to move the needle in your business, whether it's raising your prices, getting on these sales calls, marketing, showing your face, all of that will be so, so impactful. So if I had to start anywhere, I would say it's your mindset and different things that you can do to help build these momentums of courage is one, sharing gratitude every morning, right? Writing down what you're thankful for, maybe writing one thing you want to accomplish that's a little bit outside your comfort zone because when we speak it or write it into existence, your brain, like this is scientific facts, will actually find ways to make that happen. I
Wow.
know it sounds a little woo-woo-y, but I promise you it works.
I love it. I know. I know it does.
It sound yeah, and so just being able to surround yourself in rooms where people dream bigger than you, so that it shows you what is possible because we don't know what we don't know, right? And that's also why I created this community at the Creative CEO. That's the program that I was talking about earlier. I wanted a community of space for people where they can feel vulnerable, they can share their wins, they can share their failures, and then see what are other people doing to move the needle and being like, okay, I saw this person did this. They raised their prices or they booked this $18,000 package. I didn't even know that was possible. How can I get there? And I'm going to make sure I do everything I can to do to get there, right? That is the power of working on your mind and being in the right rooms.
Oh my gosh, that is so good, Helena. I love that you're doing this for photographers. I think not only one-on-one, but you also do it in a group setting. And like you said, that I love it. Like you're inspiring, like not just you as the coach, but your students are inspiring others. So I love that you're doing this. And please tell my audience where they can find you.
Yes, they can find me on Instagram at Helena Wong Photography. So HelenaWong Photography. And if you want to check out my website, it's creativeceo.co.
Got it. Everyone go check her out. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me, Helena. It was really, really so valuable for everybody. Thank you again.
Of course, thank you so much for having me, Lisette. And I hope someone takes away something from this episode.
Oh, definitely.